The lumbar region, that is lower back, is where the Kundalini Shakti resides. When we loosen those vertebrae so that the discs are no longer compressed, we reduce pressure on the physical nerves. This in turn affects the astral nerves. Asanas are not just physical exercise. The purpose of all asanas is to reduce this blocked energy. Together with pranayama, bandhas and mudras, you try to awaken the kundalini, and when the prana goes in the sushumna, this state is called shunya or vacuum. It is not a physical vacuum, it means there is no time or space awareness. Of the yogi in whom the Kundalini Shakti is awakened and who is free of all karmas, the truly natural state of samadhi comes into being on its own. The purpose is not to force anything, it is a natural process. From watering the plant, eventually you will get flowers and fruits. In the same way, from asanas, pranayama, japa, etc., practiced regularly and increase little by little, the kundalini automatically awakens. There is no fast or easy method. Each individual has to find his own evolutionary rate. Each river has its own level beyond which it will overflow, or if its flow is too low, it will dry out before it reaches the ocean. In the same way, you have to practice regularly and avoid too much enthusiasm in the beginning. Try to find the middle path, then eventually you will reach that state. When the prana moves in the sushumna and the mind is absorbed in the shunya, that is void, the intelligent yogi, he who can end the modifications of the mind, uproots all karma. Salutations to you, the immortal one, by whom time, that is a death, has been conquered, and into whose mouth all movable and immovable beings of the universe fall. Swatmarama calls those yogis who have conquered time by bringing the Kundalini Shakti into the Sushumna, Amaras or immortals. You are all immortal, but it is necessary to acquire that knowledge that you are no longer bound by time, space, causation, birth, death, and change. This is the author's benediction not to the body but to the higher self now realized. When the mind has reached a state of equanimity and the pranas moves through the sushumna, then one obtains Amaroli, Vajroli and Sahajoli. In time, the various mudras and bandhas come automatically. When the prana is active and the mind is not dead, till such time, how can jnana, that is the spiritual knowledge, arise in the mind? He who causes both prana and mind to become quiet obtains moksha. No other person can do so. Jnana is knowledge of the Atman, that is, self or God. You cannot obtain God realization or self realization unless prana is brought into the sushumna. When only the ida and pingala are functioning, it is impossible to reach the state. Stopping the ida and pingala and getting the prana into the sushumna is the purpose of all yogas. Without that, you have the knowledge only of the body and you identify only with that. That is what the author means by saying his prana is active. This state is called ajnana, that is non-knowledge. It is ignorance. I am the body is ignorance. I am the Atman is knowledge. When the prana and apana are withdrawn from the left and right sides and enter into the sushumna, then the mind becomes extinct. This means that the mind is no longer operating in the ordinary sense. According to Hatha Yoga, moksha is obtained only by those people who are able to practice this. Having known the secret of finding the way into the sushumna and forcing the prana into it, the yogi should then, seating himself in a convenient spot, restrain his prana in the Brahmanandra. The sun and moon are said to regulate day and night. Sushumna is said to swallow time. This secret has been explained. There are 72,000 nadis in this body. Sushumna is the middle nadi containing the Shambhavi Shakti. The others, that is Ida, Pingala, etc., are not of much use. With Vayu controlled, the Kundalini is aroused along with Jataragni. Then it should be made to enter Sushumna with ease. The prana must flow through the Sushumna to reach up the Manonmana state. If not, other practices are only useless efforts. He who suspends or restrains the breath also restrains the mind. He who has controlled the mind also controls the breath. Prana and vasanas, that is, acquired tendencies or impressions, activate the mind. When one of these ceases, the other also ceases. Where the mind is quietened, then the prana is absorbed, and where the prana is absorbed, there the mind is quietened. Like milk and water, mind and prana have affinity for each other and are mingled, and they have similar activities. Where prana goes, there the mind is active. Where mind goes, there the prana is active. If one is destroyed, the other is also destroyed. If one is active, the other is also active. When they are not destroyed, all the indriyas, that is the senses, are active. When the two are restrained, moksha is attained. Mind and Mercury are unsteady by nature. When Mercury is controlled, mind is restrained. What is not possible on the face of this earth? O Parvati, Mercury and prana, when restrained, destroys all diseases. When they are dead, they give life. When bound, they enable one to rise in the air. When the mind is steady, the prana is also steady, and hence is the stability of the seminal fluid. By the steadiness of the seminal fluid, there arises purity and stability of the body. The mind is superior to sense organs. Prana is the lord of the mind. Laya or absorption of prana is superior, and that laya depends on the nada, that is the inner sounds. This itself is considered moksha or liberation, though others say that it is not. However, when the prana and the mind have been absorbed, an indefinable ananda ensues. When there is suspension of inhaling and exhaling, then the attractions towards sense objects are destroyed. When there is no activity of the mind and the body, the yogi obtains success in absorption, that is laya. When both mental and physical activity cease, the indescribable state of laya ensues, which can only be realized intuitively and cannot be described by words. When there is vision, that is mental perception, there is laya, that is absorption in Brahman. Then that avidya in beings which exists eternally in the senses and the elements and the energy, Shakti, which is in all living beings, are observed in the indefinable. People keep repeating laya, laya, but how is it defined? Laya is the non-recollection of the objects of the senses due to non-recurrence of vasanas. The Vedas, Sastras and Puranas are like the courtesans as they are available to all men. But Shambhavi Mudra is to be guarded like a respectable, well-born woman. When there is a concentration of an internal object and the outward sight is devoid of winking, it is called Shambhavi Mudra. It is hidden in the Vedas and Sastras. When the yogi remains with the mind and breath absorbed in the internal object, when the pupils of the eye are without movement, and even when they are apparently looking outside, the eyes do not actually grasp the objects. That is indeed called the Shambhavi Mudra. That is obtained by the grace of the Guru. Then the yogi realizes the state of Shambhu, which is resplendent and which is beyond Shunya Shunya, that is void and non-void.